Welcome to EdScoop TV. I'm Wyatt Kash, and we're here with Mark Racine. Mark is the Chief Information Officer for Boston Public Schools. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Start out a little bit with us to describe sort of the size and scope of Boston Public Schools, the number of students and faculty you serve, and how many folks are on your IT team.
Sure. We have just under 60,000 students, and they are in a variety of schools of different types. So traditional schools, in-district charter schools, pilot and innovation schools. We have 130 buildings, so we have relatively small student populations in our schools. And we have about 10,000 staff members overall, and about 5,000 of those are teachers that we support. I have a really small IT team. We're about 50 people. So we are a small team, but we're a very mighty team, and I'm extremely proud of my team's ability to support such a large user base.
That's a big job for that size of a group. So tell us a little about some of the current education technology priorities that the schools district is looking at, particularly as we head into the upcoming school year and maybe beyond.
Sure. So one of the biggest priorities for us is being able to adopt new technologies as fast and as seamlessly as possible. So we're exploring a lot of different technologies that will enable us to scale up when it comes to a educational technology platform that's working very, very well in a classroom or school. We want to be able to bring that to 130 buildings. So looking at technologies like Clever or other single sign-on platforms that allow an application to work the same way in one classroom as it would with 130. So we've really invested a lot of time and effort into single sign-on platforms, but also getting our staff up to speed with what it takes to support single sign-on and all the intricacies of, when you have interconnected systems, when you have a failure in one area, how that might ripple through the system. And so being able to invest the time and the resources into single sign-on, login authentication, and then bleeding into data and data integration. So our biggest investment over the next current year is going to be investing in an EdFi platform that will allow us to do exactly what we've been doing with single sign-on. So taking authentication to all kinds of different learning apps, being then able to take our EdFi database and scale that data to all the educational platforms as well.
Terrific. Tell me about a project that you and your team have been working on maybe over the past year that you're particularly proud of.
So it's interesting. One of the projects I'm most proud of is, well, if you're an ed tech company, this is more of an operational side, but we are a school choice district in that parents can live in any part of the city and have a variety of schools to choose from across the city. And school choice is a very important thing to our community and to our parents. And being able to support that from the technology side is where our biggest priority has been. And so there are certain things that we are adapting into our processes. So the first is what we call single visit assignment. And that is for a parent to be able to walk into a family resource center, explore all the schools that are available to them, learn about the programming, learn about the educational programming that's in the building, and then be able to make a choice for where they want to send their child, and have, through a very complicated algorithm and assignment process, being able to have our data systems be able to assign them right to school. And so we started that venture about a year ago, and it was a huge success for us when a child, the first child to actually go through this process, walked into a welcome center at 4 p.m. I've just moved to Boston, and where do I go to school? We were able to, through our school choice lottery process, assign them to the school, and they were in class at 8 a.m. the very next day. So being able to take what is typically a very complicated process for the community, and be able to eliminate the amount of lost learning time through that. And our next venture in that is being able to take that even further and be able to assign bus services and IEP services and all the medical services that are attached. And the entire goal around that is being able to eliminate any lost learning time through the operations of the district.
That's impressive.
It's a very fun project.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the efforts the schools districts going through relative to cybersecurity and data privacy. We've been talking about CoSN just releasing some new guidance to schools to kind of help guide them along on that. Tell us what you're doing.
Sure. The CoSN security guidelines were a wonderful resource to be able to dive into and find out exactly where do we sit in terms of cybersecurity, where do we need to go. A couple of the areas that we're investing in is really the back-end security of what do our data systems need to have in place for a security infrastructure, and the CoSN guidelines really helped us to understand that aspect. But the other side is from a customer perspective. What do our customers, which we consider our students and our teachers, need to know about our data systems in terms of security? What are their responsibilities in order to protect their own information or the information of their colleagues and their students? So there's the user aspect of that, the CoSN Cybersecurity Guidelines, that for us is our next enormous venture, and being able to make sure that our students are graduating from our high school and they're going to leave the protection of our infrastructure, our security infrastructure, and be on their own for the responsibility of their own data. And so that's our next adventure, is making sure that all of our students understand their role in the world of cybersecurity.
Well, that's an important task. Another area we've been exploring is migrations to cloud support, beyond just sort of the applications that are used in the classroom. This is more of how schools are kind of thinking about data storage and operations. Tell us a little about what's on the horizon for Boston Public Schools.
I've got a wonderful infrastructure team who would move to the cloud tomorrow if they could, and that's not a normal thing. You typically see a lot of infrastructure and network teams around control and being able to touch the physical server, whereas my team really appreciates the scalability, the efficiencies of the cloud, and want to be able to get as many applications out of our own data center. We actually just invested in a brand new data center. We built that from the ground up. And I'm proud to be able to walk into a data center and see empty cabinets as we start to move applications to the cloud. One of our biggest problems to tackle is the other type of infrastructure required to support the cloud, and that is the funding sources and the availability of funds. It's a different mindset. So in education, in a lot of public sector, you typically think of funding as capital sourced or grant sourced, where you have a one-time injection of money, and that has resulted in a lot of the decisions being made based on, I have this money now, I might not have it tomorrow, or I might not have it in a few months. So you make larger capital investments in infrastructure, in data centers and servers, and in on-premise storage. In order to move to the cloud, we need to be able to tackle those infrastructure challenges from the finance perspective, and being able to rethink about the upfront investments that we're making in technology in terms of servers and capacity in our data centers and infrastructure in terms of personnel training, and move that into an OpEx expenditure. And that's a very difficult task when a lot of the state and city regulations are beyond our realm of control. And moving from a capital expenditure process to an operating process seems to be one of our biggest challenges towards to the move to the cloud. In order to ease that barrier, we're exploring the use of the hybrid cloud, where the majority of our usage will be on-premise through our data center, and then being able to scale up to the cloud at a moment's notice. So one example of that is a teacher evaluation system. We have a homegrown evaluation system that is on-premise, and it's very seasonal. And teachers and principals are uploading their evaluations during certain periods of the year. And so we'll see our applications will have wonderful performance throughout the year, and then when everybody's getting ready to hit that deadline, the performance of the application will tank, because it can't handle the infrastructure that's been scoped out for your normal usage. All of a sudden everybody's in it at once. So the use of the hybrid cloud will allow us to overnight take that infrastructure and move that up to the cloud. And then we have a small operating expenditure for that month. But the cloud will allow us to scale it out, get through our evaluation season, bring it back down to a normal size, and then bring it in-house with zero issues around data integrity. There are multiple companies that use that example. We call it the 1-800-Flowers approach, where flower companies will need to scale up for Valentine's Day season and then be able to shrink down and come back inside. So that's what we're exploring. Our approach to capital, or excuse me, our approach to cloud infrastructure will likely be through a hybrid approach.
Right.
And we'll be able to use our applications that are more seasonal as opposed to the consistent use through the year.
Sure, makes sense. Last question. We recently heard about an initiative from your school district working with some local sort of civic hacking community regarding getting help scheduling bus routes and also start times for students across your network. And I thought it was interesting how you sort of creatively turned to an outside community of experts to help with that.
We did.
What briefly led you to go in that direction, and what have you seen so far? I think you had an early hackathon at the beginning of April.
We actually we just launched it on Saturday, and it's going to last for the next few months.
Okay.
We've got two unique challenges. Being a school choice district, parents are choosing where to go to school. That means that we have to provide them transportation. So we have one of the largest transportation budgets in the country. We also have a very congested city, meaning that our buses are on small streets, and we have this challenge where we have a large amount of buses, and the buses may take a long time to get to school, and so we have a rather inflexible transportation model. That's led to two things. One, large inefficiencies in our student routing. You'll have buses with very, very few students because they may be the only child from that neighborhood going to their school. So we'll have full-size buses with a handful of children on it. So the first part of the hacking challenge is, can you help us to identify an efficiency model that will allow us to scale back the cost of transportation without impacting our service to our families. The second challenge of that is, because we have so many buses, we've had to wrap a lot of our other operations around bus schedules. Two being school start times and end times, and the second one being the availability of after-school programs. And so, along with being able to drive up our efficiency of our bus system, we want to be able to increase the amount of choice that a school may have in terms of when they start their school, their bell times. So our solution to that, for the past few years, or for as long as I can remember, we've only looked internally. Who has an option for this? And we've tried a lot of different options. And it's a very complex problem. And so our superintendent, Tommy Chang, said, we've got plenty of people around us that are brilliant in this area. And so let's reach out to the community. And so we offered up on Saturday the start of this hackathon challenge to say, help us solve these two problems. Help us find how to be more efficient with our transportation. Help us to build in the flexibility for our buses. So we invited people from a lot of universities. We invited some national experts on school bus transportation, and we invited the community. And so we had the launch event in which we talked about the problem. We provided a lot of data on the efficiency or inefficiencies of our transportation system. We had parents there, we had students, we had college students, college professors, industry experts, and then we provided a massive set of data and said, we've got 60,000 students in our district. Here's a massive data set of 60,000 randomized addresses and 130 fictitious school addresses, and help us to route every student to their school. So it's very fun in that we get to explain our world, explain our boundaries, and see what comes out of it. And so we're really hopeful that at the end of the hackathon, we're going to have solutions that come forward with, here are maybe some policy adjustments or some procedural adjustments you can make to drive up efficiency. Or in the case of, we brought in Google and Uber and Microsoft, here's some new algorithms or routing algorithms that you can use to drive up the efficiency of your bus. So
look forward to seeing the outcome of that.
We are too.
I bet you are. So,
yeah.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for stopping by and just sharing some of the things that you're working on, and really appreciate your kind of talking through some of the efforts that you're making at Boston Public Schools. So thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm Wyatt Kash with EdScoop TV. Thanks for being with us.